The edge has become much more important today. A lot of people have moved things to the cloud, but they're realizing that, one, with all the AI and ML and all the things that I need data for, I've forgotten about the edge. And now I'm having a chokehold in getting data through into the cloud. So edge is a great complementary technology to the cloud, of where I can process operational data really quickly for my models. In a factory, these are controlled settings, oil fields. You kind of know what it is that you're going to, because it pretty much doesn't change within the four walls every day. But where we've taken the edge to the extreme is the Tour de France. So with the Tour de France, you think about 3,400 kilometers, or for us in the US, it's 2,000 miles. That's similar to, from riding a bike from Chicago to Seattle in about 21 days or 21 stages. And you can imagine the complexities of coverage and doing a digital twin across a new path of over 3,400 kilometers of where there's weather, such as it snowed one year up in the mountains, and that would disrupt it. Accidents on the tour. And you're sitting there, maybe 10, 70 kilometers away, wondering, when do we think this peloton is going to be arriving? And so being able to process this data in real time and create a digital twin of the race with where are the fans, how full are the VIP sections, what's the weather, what's the speed of the riders, well, how tightly are the riders packed? All these things have to be all calculated to kind of say for the fan experience, okay, they're going to be arriving, kind of waiting for a bus. At this point, at about 3 p.m. today, you'll see the peloton. So you and your family can get there and set there. The complexities come as far as various levels of connectivity. When you're up in the mountains or going through a tunnel into the mountains, you may lose connectivity. So how does the AI and ML compensate for that to predict when the riders are coming? Weather is probably one of the biggest factors. Weather could impact the speed, like we had heat waves last year, or other years there could be snow in the mountains that could just say, okay, we may have to delay some of this or reroute some of these riders. So to be able to process things quickly, not only in the cloud, but in the edge is very important. This year, for example, one of the technology trucks lost one of their API servers, and the cloud went down. Because we happen to have an edge compute in one of the technology trucks, we were able to quickly reroute things through the edge box and continue and not lose any race data, and continue all the analytics that were being done on the tour. And that's some of the challenges when you have rely on a full cloud infrastructure and something goes down, is that things don't happen. I think of sometimes I go on the plane and I'm ready to do my emails, and then all of a sudden, the Wi-Fi isn't working on a plane, and everything's up in the cloud. It's hard to get anything done. Amori Sports Organization, which puts on the tour, is our customer, and basically, NTT has been a partner of the tour for over almost a decade, and providing technology, and it starts with everything from the fan experience, but now for this year, it's really doing the digital twin. So there's a little device that goes on every one of the bikes. It's super light, but it tells you really, where the rider's position and, roughly what speed they're going on. And this, along with cameras and sensors all through the tour, provides kind of a digital twin of the race. So as you know, the tour is a lot different than most other sporting events you have, where you can sit there in a stadium or, in a racetrack and just see vehicles move around. This really goes through a whole country. So basically, we have technology trucks and all these supports that follows a tour, providing connectivity, providing all the race analytics, along with feeding the website and the apps with all sorts of information so that you can gamify it. This year, we've also added ChatGPT, so it's a more natural way for fans to interact. So Marianne is kind of our virtual guide, and so it's a virtual person that lives and you can basically ask her questions on who's leading the tour and things like that in natural language. And using ChatGPT, we can pull all the data up one of the biggest issues is when you have all these sensors and all this information, you just get a lot of noise. But how do you take that noise and all these numbers and things like that and turn that into useful information and predictions of, this is where we anticipate the tour to be. This is where we anticipate the riders to end up after this stage. A lot of the analytics, and then there's edge compute on the trucks, so that there's some race information that is processed locally right away, so that we for latency, for speed, for events where you always can't be sending everything up to the cloud and waiting for it to be crunched and sent back to you. There's multiple technologies that are being used here. Obviously, there's low powered wide area networks. We also have our global SIM capabilities at NTT, where we can cover 190 countries with a single SIM card. There's also microwave that's being used for transmissions and things like that. So if you ever go to there's multitudes of trucks. There's the NTT technology vehicles, but there's also the media trucks that come up and do the broadcasting, and they all set up. And roughly, every night, 20,000, a village of 20,000 pack up, and then they move with a tour to the next stage. So that is an incredible thing to see. And you just look and you see all the wires, all the antennas, the masts coming up. It's quite a production, because it has to be fully mobile, because there really is no permanent infrastructure as you're following the tour through the mountains and through all these, various, towns for the whole month. I mean, security is always number one consideration, whether it's Tour de France or any type of edge implementation, because what are you introducing? And it's security across all layers, from the device layer through the application layer, just not the infrastructure. Also, complying with all the privacy regulations of the EU, and this year was started in the Basque region, Spain, France. So you have the local regulations, because you're capturing data. Some of it could be personal data, especially of the riders. There's also the infrastructure security. There's and there's also the coordination with all this the security agencies as you go through each city. So if you think about not only from a technology security point of view, but also as you go through each city, your technology has to be able to coordinate with the local police departments, et cetera, so that if they needed access to some data or anything like that, they have access to it. So it's a tremendous ecosystem that needs to be put together to pull off anything like that. And NTT, is just a part of that. But we're, I like to believe we're a very core part of it that makes a lot of this work and enriches the fan experience. Whether you're a cycling fan or not, it's a very interesting thing to watch.